Welcome back to the Sports World with Patrick. Today we have a special guest joining us, McKenna Cook, an accomplished hockey player and president of the Indiana University Women's Club Hockey Program. McKenna is a driving force behind the growth and success of the team, both on and off the ice. We will be diving into her journey as a leader, her experiences as a player, and what it takes to balance the demand of competitive sports and club management. McKenna, thank you for being here. We're excited to have you on the show. And then, if you could sort of just, um, I'll start you off with this question: How did your hockey journey begin, and what inspired you to pursue the sport?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity. My hockey journey began when my family moved to Bloomington, Indiana. We saw that there was a local ice rink and wanted something to do. So my brother and I were just doing the learn to skate lessons. And then I actually saw a bunch of hockey players doing a conditioning drill that I now hate with my life. But at the time, I was like, that is so cool. So I started to play co ed hockey with our local team at the age of 5. And then I've been playing for about 15 years now. And honestly, it's just a sport that I've really grown to love and I wanted to stay with it. I thought I retired after high school because I didn't know IU had a club team anymore. So it's been really fun to be able to continue playing with that for an extra 4 years too.
And then, obviously, like you said, your family moved to Bloomington. What really made you choose Indiana University to go and play there and get involved with the women's hockey program?
Yeah, I came to Indiana because I'm studying business, so I wanted to go through Kelly's program for that. And then I realized that there was still a women's club hockey team growing here. I believe it's like our fourth year this year. So I really wanted to try and make an impact as much as I can for just girls growing up in the Bloomington or Indiana community because there's not a lot of hockey programs, especially down south. So I wanted to be able to help them get more chances. And then I also wanted to be able to grow the really young program at IU in hopes that it could become like ACHA Division D2 or D3 like the boys teams are.
And obviously, in all of the seasons that you've been there, you've probably had a lot of rewarding experiences there. And are there any particular ones you have as both a player and a leader?
Yeah, I think we had a really fun one last year. We had our first ever collegiate home game. So that was just really exciting to be able to play in both as just a player and like someone helping out the team. Cause it's really, I mean, it was our third year, but it was really nice to see how much growth we've been able to have within such a short time. And then this year, like it's been really on exec, it's been really nice to see how many girls who have never played before have come in and put their full dedication into learning different skills about the team. So it's been really nice to see new girls try new things and then how much like our experienced players are willing to work with them on skills like even outside of ice time. So it's been really nice to like see them grow in personal relationships and just help the team as well.
Obviously, with being a club program, you guys do sort of don't have the same benefit nearly as much as the big NCAA programs do. But I do sort of have this question: how do you sort of balance your academics and hockey? And then, what does a typical day or typical week of training or even schoolwork look like for you?
Yeah, it's definitely hard because a lot of girls like we have a ton of schoolwork and are involved in different clubs. So I feel like for most of us, like Monday through Friday, it's usually academics or like club meetings. And right now we only practice Sunday nights, so it's not too much extra time out of the girls' like week for educational stuff for club. So it's I don't find it too hard to balance. There's sometimes I have a Monday exam like and I'm like, why am I here? Because it's kind of hard to do that. But I think overall, like it's a pretty easy balance, even with more games scheduled this season. They're usually on the weekends. So it's pretty easy to do that and then get all your coursework done as well.
And then, I know over time it does, the fan base does grow, and I haven't been to Bloomington yet to watch a game. Actually, no, I have been to one, maybe. I think, sort of, how does that support, with you guys being a student run organization? I know you guys have to do all the advertising for it. How does that sort of work into your role as a president?
Yeah, so my main role is so we have, okay, a president, vice president, treasurer, social media and apparel board, and then a secretary. So my main role is just making sure all of them can get their functions done, and then I'll step in as needed. And then I mainly work with the Club Sports Federation at IU that oversees all the sports. So like I'll help reach out to teams in Indiana or just neighboring states to get games against them, and then making sure like we're posting our roster, game content, or just any player content routinely, so that way we can get more of the word out. So I mainly just kind of oversee what different parts of the exec board do, and then making sure I can delegate tasks and step in where they need help as well. And then with club sports, there's like a point system for like funding. So I've been mainly working through that to make sure we're hitting all the required areas, as well as getting bonus points for like having alumni come in for a function or doing volunteer work. So that's a lot of my role as president.
And then obviously, I do also have this question. Sorry, I'm sorry reverting back to something here, but obviously, with you guys being in school, I know that can be mentally tough on almost anybody. How do you guys sort of handle that in a year where you're gonna have your finals coming up, and then your midterms, and how do you guys sort of handle that mental toughness even when you're down in games? Let's say you're down 3 goals, and it's only 20 more minutes left in the game.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, especially on people who are new to the sport or just haven't grown up like playing competitive sports. It's really easy to get down in the dumps and start blaming yourself or other players for simple mistakes that are made. So I think what we try to do on the bench, like with the coaches and just any of like the captains or exec, is we try to make sure our criticism is more constructive. Like if you tell somebody not to do something, that's all they're going to be thinking about. So you could say, "Hey, you can do this instead." So I think we try to focus on what we're saying and like how we're saying that, especially to like the newer players, to make sure they're still like have a positive mental attitude in the game. And then we also all just kind of joke around on the bench. Like we'll be making fun of each other for like funny things that we do and just try to keep it upbeat as much as possible. Because you can't really go into a game angry because you're going to keep making mistakes. So I think it's just as long as we can keep positive attitudes and remind people that mistakes are going to happen, especially if you're brand new to the sport. Like that really helps us when we're down or just people are frustrated in the games or just the school or anything.
And then obviously, as the president, you're sort of that main person in leadership. And I've almost asked almost everybody if possible, in your opinion, what's the importance of the communication between the leadership of the group for your player groups, and how important is it for leadership and the coaches to be talking at the same time, and that communication to have between the team? How does that help you guys become a successful team?
Like between exec and then the rest of the players and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, I think it's really helpful because I think a lot of people think leadership is just kind of telling people what to do and just bring people forward. But I think a lot of it is about actually understanding your teammates and what they need. So, like, what I like to do is we have a anonymous concerns form. If people have something wrong with the coach or practice, another player, anything, like they can immediately reach out to me or another exec where we can handle that problem as quickly as possible. So I think it's important for us as leadership to show like we're open to hearing them. They have voices as well in the team. It's not just us making all the decisions. Like it's all 2025 of us collectively making a decision for the group. And then I would also say it, as I said, it's like it's about understanding your players. So if I had one that grew up playing soccer and I'm used to that sport, I usually try to explain positioning or just any part of the game in a way that relates to soccer so that they understand it better. So I think it's just important to learn about their interests, what they love, anything you can do to try to make their life easier to understand a concept or just what their mental like what they're going through mentally and their understanding of the game. So I think that's a big part of leadership and how we've been able to connect with the new girls over things that they understand better than hockey and just make sure that they feel heard and represented as well.
And then I do have this question because I know every club program does have their challenges, and the president's sort of the big one, that sort of takes on a lot of the challenges as a program. So what are sort of some of the biggest challenges you face as the president of IU hockey?
Yeah, I think a big one is the like difference in skill levels. Again, like we take girls like me who have been playing since they were like 3, 4, 5 years old, and then we've had girls that just joined this past August. So a lot of times in practice, it's really hard to have drills that can be easy enough for the new people to do it, but it's still pushing the more experienced players enough where they can have a good practice and still enjoy playing the sport. So it's been really difficult trying to find that little like middle area that both parties can like work off of. But I think we've done a good job where it's like we can either split up practice and have like more experienced players work on the basics with the new ones while the rest of us will run a normal drill that pushes us more, or we can also just incorporate drills that any skill level can do. So that's been something that's really hard to like deal with, making sure we can help both parties with where they're at. And then I think another thing is just, I mean, that we're in the fourth year of it being a club. So not a lot of people at IU or hockey players outside of IU know about it. So it's been like really hard to get new people as well. So I think we're working on getting more Instagram posts out. I mean, this podcast will even help, just trying to gain more traction in the Bloomington and just US like communities to bring more people in.
And then, is there as a president, as the president, is there like a particular moment or accomplishment that you're particularly proud of during your time at the moment with the program?
Yeah, right now I would say I'm really proud of how we've grown from like this past year into this year. Last year we were struggling to get maybe 6 people at our practices and run like a good practice that pushed us. And this year I've been able to bring on a coach and have like 20 to 25 people at each practice. So I'm proud that I've and my team has just been able to bring more girls into the sport and keep the retention there, as well as bring in new girls like at different times throughout the year. So I'm just proud that we've been able to make it grow and continue to develop the team, even if we're bringing in different skill levels, because it's going to help us gain more people and just help the program develop each year if we can continue to do that.
And then, obviously, you get to see sort of the culture of the locker room as a player. And obviously, a culture can make or break a team, and how coaches communicate stuff to the players. How would you sort of describe the culture of the team and the relationship between the players?
Yeah, I would say we're definitely a very competitive bunch. Like, we all want to come into games winning, or just practice trying as hard as possible. But I think we're also very inclusive. Like I said, with the skill gap, like, I see more experienced players like finishing a drill and then going back to help new ones all the time, or just pulling them to the side to help no matter what, and or just asking questions about simple concepts to help people who don't want to ask, like if they feel embarrassed. So I think we do a really good job of being inclusive about each other and just making sure everyone feels like they have a support system and aren't isolated. And I feel like we all push each other as well. Like if we see people making a similar mistake, like each shift they're out on the game, we'll point it out to them or try to work with them next practice on it. And we want to push each other to be better. Like if there's a basic skill we can work on too, like we'll push ourselves to help the new players and refine our more skills in that. So I think that helps. And then I think we're all just kind of one big family. Like obviously there are people who are closer to each other than others, but I feel like every single girl on the team has push themselves to get to know all about their other teammates, like where they're from, what they love, just goofy, funny stories that they can share together. So it's a really good environment to be around. And even like off the ice, we'll hang out and we're doing a game night after practice this Sunday. We'll build gingerbread houses together, just hang out. So it's a really fun family that I've loved finding here.
And then, obviously, you mentioned you guys are in your fourth season. You're planning on growing the program there at IU to get to ASHA Division 3 or Division 2. So what are sort of the initiatives or goals do you have to continue the growth of hockey or the women's club hockey program there at IU in order to get to the ASHA Division 3 and Division 2 levels?
Yeah, so we've had a couple ideas of how to grow that this year. Right now, we're building a better relationship with the men's teams, both D2 and D3. That way, our clubs can support each other more, and we can provide our players with more people to work against and learn from. So we've been trying to do that just to help ourselves in the Indiana community to have those people to support us and gain more recognition through the boys' teams. We've also been working on gaining more funding by partnering with, I'm trying to think how to phrase this, but it's like Vertical Raise. It's like a site that helps like teams like raise money for like their donations or just to help them support. So we've been really trying to like gain more funding so we can get more games in during the season. We can hopefully get matching gear someday, just compensate for more ice costs so we can get more practices in throughout the week. And then for recognition, we've been in contact with mainly coaches for high school teams in Indiana or all girls teams, just saying, hey, I know your girls might want to play like full collegiate, like NCAA or ACHA, but we also have opportunity here for them if they want to come to IU. And just kind of we've been doing a good job of reaching out to the coaches in Indiana and other neighboring states, trying to say, hey, we have an opportunity for your girls if you would like. That way we can bring in more talent and just more members to our team.
And then I do also have this question. So obviously, I know you sort of mentioned it there, where you guys don't have the matching equipment at the moment. I know this with club hockey, club hockey can be very expensive because you do have the player fee that happens with being a club program and not getting that NCAA funding from the school. Um, I know that can sort of probably make it hard to recruit players depending on how it goes. So how do you guys sort of um, you know face those challenges and be able to bring on a lot of players onto into the program?
Yeah, I mean, it's hockey is definitely a very expensive sport with just gear and ice time for all the years. So right now our dues aren't like super high, at least compared to the men's team. So I think that also helps bring people in with the additional cost of like what it is to get jerseys and socks and just other gear. But we've been trying to help like new girls out by pointing them to used gear sites so that way it's slightly more discounted, especially if they're only going to be playing for like 4 years. So we've been trying to help them out with that and like our recommendations so that way they can save money but still have quality gear. And then we've been also trying to help with our lack of funding. We've been reaching out for to have a lot of fundraisers. Like one of my good friends made fudge for us to sell this past semester. We worked with Vertical Raise, like I said. We'll probably partner with Chipotle in the spring, trying to have like a dine and donate. So a lot of our funding, it's just coming through reaching out to these like fundraising sites to help that. And then again, like with club sports, we have like a point system. And so the higher you are up in the point system, you get more money. So I think it's also pushing myself and exec to get more points to help our team get more funding in the continuous years after this one. That will really help just help us with the getting the girls like good gear and just being able to fund more practice time and games and the matching gear, like I said.
And then obviously, because I know Bloomington's not known, I can't remember if I asked it already, but Bloomington's not very well known for the hockey, and I think you mentioned it too. And I did talk to a few people earlier in the week, and we were talking about how when the football team's not doing good, they get a lot of fans. I know IU's very big on their basketball, definitely against Purdue. And so, how do you sort of compete with them for the fans? Because I know hockey season runs the course of both football and a basketball season, and there's other sports also on campus, but those are sort of the big two. So, how do you guys sort of face those challenges in getting people to come to the game?
Yeah, it's definitely hard because everybody wants to go to the football games or the basketball games. But I think a lot of our fans, it's just like our families or good friends coming in. So we try to push the girls to encourage their friends to come in and buy tickets or just people around campus. Like I've reached out to a ton of my professors saying, hey, we have a game if you want to come support. Like I even had a high school teacher come in and watch our games before. So I think a lot of it is just like using personal connections right now because again we're pretty small and like gaining more recognition just at IU in general or just like in the US. So a lot of it's short with that. So I don't think we've had to deal with it too much overlapping with basketball or football. I think in future years though, if we can get more posts out on Instagram or just partnering with like Greek organizations so that they can also sell tickets and bring more people in, like that will help us grow and get more people nowhere near football or basketball, but like just bring more people into the ring.
Yeah. And then obviously you mentioned it's been 4 years at IU. So how do you sort of see the women's club hockey program evolving at IU in the coming years? And what do you think can be done to bring more recognition and support to the women's hockey program?
Yeah, I think as we continue to grow, we'll probably bring in players who want to continue playing at more of a skilled level, similar to how the boys has grown now, especially D2. a lot of people are recruited to come play for the team or just come to IU like knowing it's a good program. So I think like as we can continue to develop and get more games going and bring in more talent, it should hopefully grow to that point where people are being recruited or really wanting to come to IU to play. I hope to see that if I come back in like 20 years as an alumni, I hope to see it's grown that far. And then I guess, yeah, a lot of it's just putting our name out there at IU to start. Like, I've partnered with the consulting club that I'm part of, putting our team as a project, and like they've developed a 5-year plan for us and just with ideas for like marketing, fundraising, retention. So I think it's just getting the word out through clubs like that, the boys team, partnering with a Greek organization. That way people who hear about it that maybe did play hockey and didn't know we had a team before can be brought in, or we can just get more recognition just throughout campus, and then if they go to their hometowns and talk about it as well, I think that'll help. I think that's what we need to start with, and then slowly we can try to reach out to like bigger programs like ACHA, or just like I don't know, one of our girls got posted on NHL, so maybe if we get more attention from like NHL or bigger sites, I think that can help us as well.
And then, what are sort of the lessons you've learned through hockey that you can apply to life and beyond the rink?
Yeah, I think one of the big things is like problem solving and adaptability. You can practice any skill or play as much as you want, but every single shift in the game, it's completely different. Like you have no idea where the puck's going to go, who's going to be where, what's going to be open or not. So I think it's really taught me that like how to really quickly analyze like where people are on my team, the other team, what's open, so that way I can make a play. So I found that it's really helped me in problem solving. Like I want to go in consulting, and I think it's shown like I've seen a lot of what I've learned through hockey that I can apply to the projects that I've been on so far. So that's really helped. I think it really also helps like mentally to be in that game. Like it's a really tough, especially for someone who plays goalie, because you think, oh, it's my fault. All the goals are going in, or just like if you make a mistake, I know athletes are really hard on themselves. So I think it's really taught me to be like, okay, then maybe that was a bad shift or a bad game, but I can do better the next one. I know what to work on. So it's really taught me like it's you learn more from losing than winning if you know what happened with your mistakes and how you can fix them. So I think those are things that playing this sport has really taught me to do well.
And then, what advice would you sort of give to players who are aspiring to play, hockey at the collegiate level, whether it's club or even Asha a little bit?
Yeah. I would just say it's nice to remember that you love the sport. Like, obviously, people can get upset with wins and losses if the team's not what they were expecting or as well as they were doing. So I just say a lot of things that has kept me going is just remembering why I love the sport, why I love the people, just everybody I've been surrounded with, and that it's kept me going for 15 years. So I think that's a big thing that I like focus back on. And then I would also say try to make a really big impact, even if it's like if the program is like 6 years down the line and running well, there's still something you can do to help people, like even local people. So I think it's look to make an impact on your teammates or just people around you as much as you can, because even a little thing can help it grow, and you want to leave your little path for the rest of to keep going.
And then I do also have this question. What are your personal goals for the future in both in hockey and beyond?
Yeah, for hockey, I have like 2 years left at IU, so I want to continue getting more games on the schedule, getting more practices, just trying to give us as much of an opportunity to get back to where a normal team that a bunch of us have grown up playing on is like. And then just with that building a better relationship with the teams we're playing with, like we want to reach out more to like Notre Dame, Ohio State, like. So I also just want to grow the program with like how much ice time we get, but also how much we can connect with the other teams, because we want to keep that relationship going to get more games in the future. And then I'm trying to think what else. I mean, I want to keep playing as long as possible. Might end up in a beer league. I feel like that's where you go no matter what league you end up in. So I want to keep playing as much as possible. It's a sport that's become my like second home all my life. So I want to keep doing that and just using the skills I've learned from it in my work, hopefully as a consultant or just wherever I end up. So because it's really taught me a lot of valuable lessons, and I want to keep doing.
And then I do have a few fun questions here. So, who is the funniest teammate you've had at on your team, and what's the best prank or even moment that's happened in the locker room?
That's a good one. I think there's two that I can think of. There's one, my teammate Sydney, like we joke that we're like platonic soulmates. So we're just always like goofing around at practice over random things that happened in the week. And then in the locker room for like our Halloween skate, we decided to be like mice or something like that. So we had like Mickey Mouse ears and we drew like a nose and like little like whiskers. That was like what I can really think of right now. That was just super fun to do with her and just super goofy. And my teammate Becky, she's like she's very sarcastic and funny. So it's like you really never expect what she's gonna say. But she's always like just random comments out of nowhere that are like the funniest thing you've ever heard. She's always fun. I think she just comes in with like random stories about how like she dressed up as like a leprechaun with her old team, or she'll just like keep everybody super upbeat in the locker room. So she's really fun too.
And then, if you could have dinner with any hockey player, past or present, who would it be and why?
That's a good one. I'd probably say Gordie Howe. Like I grew up cheering for the Red Wings, and he was someone that was super motivational for me. Like I've read his little book and what he's been through and how he's pushed himself. So I'd really want to talk to him about his experience and what kept him going. I'd honestly take an autographed jersey if he was alive, but I think that'd be someone I'd really want to talk to.
And then, do you sort of have any pregame rituals or superstitions you really have that sort of help you mentally prepare for any game that you go into?
Yeah, I have a weird thing where it's like I always have to put on my right gear before my left, no matter what. Like every single game, or like if I win the game prior in a specific pair of like socks, like I have to wear that the rest of the weekend. Those are my little superstitions. And then a thing that usually helps me lock in is like 20 minutes before the game, I'll step out with my headphones on and I'll watch like whatever is on the ice at that game. That way it helps like lock me into the hockey mode and just the plays like I know I'm gonna be have to be making. So that's what I usually do to like lock in for a game and be ready to go.
And you said you're a goalie, correct?
I've played everything but goalie.
Oh,
So
everything but goalie.
yeah, everything but.
No, no, I've heard so goaltenders I've heard have the weirdest superstitions. To be honest with you.
Yeah. A lot of them, like I've had one where that they have to hit like both posts like every time the puck is dropped at a face off. Like they have to hit it with their stick no matter what.
And then, obviously, McKenna, I do have this question also for you. What do you hope your legacy will be at at IU as part of the club team there?
That's a good one. I'm trying to think. Um I really just I want to make sure that I'm known for leaving a super inclusive environment, that where it's like I made sure every single member felt heard and appreciated and like their voice matters as well. I think that's something that I really would like to be remembered for. And then I want to make sure that like I can make a super big impact on the Bloomington community as well. Like I want to work with young kids at the youth program, especially like the girls, showing that they can make it like this far or even farther if they really push themselves. So I just want to make sure that it's like I show that I'm inclusive and I'm like trying to build up the younger players in the community to push them to continue growing.
Well, McKenna, it's been fantastic having you on the Sports World with Patrick today. Your passion for hockey and leadership insights are truly inspiring. Thank you for sharing your journey and the glimpse into the incredible work you're doing at Indiana University. And then also, before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to share or any advice for aspiring athletes and future leaders out there?
I think a lot of it is just having an open mind to obviously you're going to be playing with different teams your entire life. So it's just make sure you keep an open mind coming into that because they're all different, like skill levels or just the people and how they interact. So I think that's a big thing. And kind of like I said earlier, just kind of remind yourself why you love the sport and why you stuck with it.
Well, thanks again for your time, and best of luck to you and your team this rest of the season.